Appreciate it, guys. So today I want to talk about a topic that I love talking about, which is creating wealth. You guys remember a few weeks ago, I did Creating Wealth Part 1. If you haven't watched that one, go back and watch it. This is Creating Wealth Part 2. I'm going to talk today about a lot of numbers. I'm actually going to go through my notes here. I want to put this together. And, what's funny is I love proving people wrong. So people told me there's no way you can go live for longer than 15 minutes and get people's attention. There's no way you can go live, for example, for 30 minutes and keep people's attention. I think the information we're sharing is so much value. You guys are willing to plug into this. This last week, we had a little over 100,000 people that watched between all platforms, the videos that we put out. You guys are sticking through and commenting through the end. So if you guys find value in this, keep sharing this. Keep sharing this with your profile. Keep sharing this on your news feeds. Keep sharing this with people that you know that are around you. It's kind of fun to see the people that are actually changing their lives because of the content that we're sharing today. Now, again, this is not, just so you know, I'm not tooting my own horn. This is not me. This is the culmination of the past 40 years of my life going in and studying the most successful people. That's one of the things that I learned years ago, actually in my early 20s, is if I wanted to succeed, I had to find those that had what I wanted in every area of my life and simply modeled them. And I've been very successful in being able to do that by plugging into some of the top people in the world. And I'm sharing that information with you guys. So this whole wealth formula, how to create wealth, this is something that I've been able to do over the past, 2.5 decades, simply from plugging into the right people to learn. This is not stuff you learn in school. This is not stuff. In fact, I'm going to offend some of you guys today, and I don't really care. I'm going to offend you because I'm going to tell you guys the truth. That's one of the things that I learned probably the last 10 years is that, actually the last 15 years, is not to give a shit. What I care about is one thing, is you getting results, you changing your life. I don't care if you like me or don't like me. I want to tell you the truth. And so this is about, again, I hope that we can have a candid conversation with you guys. I hope that the things you guys share on here are kept between all of us in this small little group of people that want to change their lives. So my question to you is, would you rather have me tell you what you want to hear and tell you, pat you on the back and say you're doing a great job, or do you want me to tell you what you need to hear in order to change your life? My hallucination is the fact that you're following me today, that you're on this today, that you want to change your life. If you want to change your life, you've got to change some things. It's common sense. You guys have heard this being said, 5 different ways, which is if you want to change your life, you got to change who you are. You got to change the actions that you're taking. If you look back the last 5 years of your life, you look at where you are today, if you're not where you want to be, it obviously makes common sense. If you keep doing the same shit you've been doing, you're going to get the same results 5 years from now. So if you want to change your life, it's going to take some painful things you're going to have to do, and you're going to have to change the things you're doing and the habits that you have, because again, we all learn about money the wrong way. A few of you guys might have gotten lucky, but my belief is the fact that you're actually watching this today, you're not financially where you want to be. So my question I'm going to ask you guys, and again, I want to see your comments. I've got Sierra, Bree, Rachel, I've got Caleb, I've got everyone watching this that are on all the different platforms and fielding the questions you guys have or the comments to me so I can see your feedback. I don't believe in being a passive watcher. I believe in being a spectator. If you want to change your life, you've got to do some things about it. And if you're not taking notes, if you're watching in the car, not taking notes, don't have a notepad, or you can't take notes because you're actually driving right now, which I encourage you not to take notes in that case, watch this video again. I'm going to give you guys some things. You got to sit down with your significant other. You got to sit down with yourself. You got to put a game plan together, because what I know is this: if you go through life willy-nilly, you go through life haphazardly. If you go through life, what I say about most people is they're going through life in a boat in the river with no oars. They're sitting in that boat, just going with whatever the flow of the stream is, and they don't even realize they're going off a frickin' waterfall. Right? You got to realize where you're going. If you don't have the direction, what I love is one of the sayings that I learned from Jim Rohn years ago is, if you don't know where you're going, you won't like where you end up. That's simple as that. If you do not know where you're going, you will not like where you end up. Every person that I know that's successful, they choose their mindset. They choose what they want to do, and they put a plan of action together. So I hope today stimulates you. I hope today gets to the point where you decide you want to do something different with your life. The point today that you decide you want to take some action and do something different. Watching these every single week is not going to change your life. You got to frickin' get out and do something. You got to get out and take action. As I posted last week, one of the things that I laugh about, I shouldn't say laugh, one of the things that I get, I should say, I'm conscious about, and I watch so many people that actually have the formula. They read every personal development thing that goes out there. They post comments in the social media stuff that I put out there about mindset, about the positive impact and the things you need to be doing. But because they don't take any action, nothing happens. What does the good book say? Faith without works is dead, right? You got to do something about it. You can have faith that you want to change your life, but you got to do something about it. You can pray. I'm not trying to get into the whole religious aspect. That always gets me in trouble. I don't care what you believe in. What I believe, though, is this. This is the part that I don't think anybody's going to push against me on, which is you can say give it to God, but if you don't take action, if you're sitting there wondering why you financially can't support your family, you can't do the things you want to do in your life, and you're sitting there watching television, eating potato chips, but then you're praying to God to take care of you, it's not going to happen. You have to take control. Even if God's putting things in your path, if you believe in God, He's believe in the universe, whatever you believe in, but He's putting things, a path for you. You've got to do something about it. And that path sometimes is painful. So I'm going to go through my things here with you guys today. I'm going to give you the top, how many do I have here? I've got the top 4 or 5 or 6, depending on what I want to cover today. 6 things you've got to do if you want to change your life in a financial aspect. This is Creating Wealth Part 2. And again, go back to Part 1, a lot more in depth. I'm going to cover some things. But today I'm going to highlight some things I covered in Part 1 and dig in a bit deeper in a whole different direction with you guys. So Creating Wealth Part 2. And again, I can have a little caveat to this that I can't post on Facebook. The shit that you didn't learn in school. Okay? Creating Wealth Part 2, the shit you didn't learn in school. So number 1 is to create wealth. Number 1, write this down if you're taking notes. Number 1, you have to make a decision. You have to get your mind right. You have to get your mind correct. You have to decide you're going to do something different. You're going to change your life. So it's the first thing I want you to do. And what most people do is this. They start with the how first. That's the worst place to start because then you get overwhelmed. You got to talk about number 1 is get your mind correct. Why do I want to change my life? Why do I want something different? Today we're talking about finances. Why do I want my financial situation to be better? Right? If it's not better, so you guys ever heard of the, what's it called now? What's the guy's name? Christmas or future and past and present? Dickinson? The book? No, yeah, but it's the Dickinson effect. What that is where you look in your future and say, what's my life going to be like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now if I don't do something different about my life? And think about your future. If you're in the financial situation you're in right now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, what's it going to be like? And what's it going to feel like for you to be a greeter at Walmart? Not because you love being a greeter, but because you have to be a greeter. In fact, my father, I spent time with my parents this weekend. My father was telling me the story just yesterday as I was putting this content together. I was talking about some of this content. And he said, I was at Walmart. And I was behind this couple, probably 10 years older than I am. And it was really sad because they're going through putting their groceries on, their milk, their bread, the different things on the belt. And they get through everything and they tell them how much money it is. And they literally are $5 short, roughly $5 short. And this couple is sitting there trying to figure out what to do. And they're talking between each other. Well, we don't have the ability to do it. What can we take back? Well, we need all this stuff. My dad just said, hey, here's $5. I got this covered, But it's sad. That to me is sad. I wondered why, for example, I wondered why my grandmother, why she had slippers that she used to wear in the kitchen. She had slippers that had holes in them. I didn't realize that she had those slippers when I was a younger child. She had those slippers because she couldn't afford new slippers, right? She didn't have the money to do the things that she wanted to do. And again, I'm going back to this whole religious thing. I'm not sure why, but the thing is, I don't care what you believe in with God. If you look at the Bible, for example, you look at the principles in the Bible, we're not the richest people, God's people, right? King Solomon, Job, right? All these people, people think about money in the wrong way. It's about what you do with it. I don't think God wanted you to be on this planet either to live, to basically go out and work 2/3 of the day, live the other third. You still can't get by, to not love enjoying the planet, not travel the world, not do the things that you want to be able to do and not create the impact that you want to do with your church or tithe or your causes or your charities. I think you're put on this planet to be wealthy. And I think that one of my mentors told me years ago, he said, if you only have bones, right? If you only have the scraps of life, you can only give other people the scraps. If you're a bone eater, you can only give bones to other people. You give nothing. If you want to be somebody who can provide for other people and create impact on this planet and help other people, you've got to be a meat eater. And he had me study the most successful people that were meat eaters and said, here's the people you want to follow and emulate if you want to change your life. So number 1, you've got to make a decision. That's number 1. You've got to decide, and not just you decide, get those around you to make the decision as well, your significant other and others, that you're willing to change some things in order to have what you want to have. Successful people form habits doing things failures don't like to do. It's not always going to be easy. So number one, decide. Number two, I talk a lot about side hustles. You guys remember my conversation last week about six-figure side hustles? I talked about, I think the week before as well, these, how to create a side hustle and have income coming in. The challenge is, one of the things I saw you guys kind of go down this path of is say, basically, screw my job, I want to do this side hustle. And we've had this thing over the last decade where everyone feels their job is a bad thing. And people have had this thing, what does a job stand for? Just over broke, right? Or what are the other things that people think about as well? I don't love what I do. Find what I'm passionate about. So let me share this with you. There is nothing in most cases wrong with your job. Your job is simply a means to an end. Look at your job as simply a revenue generator. Most of you guys can't just dump your job and start a side hustle and expect it to succeed. Why do most businesses fail? Because the businesses fail because you start this some business on the side that you have to jump into. You realize you have to put all your time into it because having somebody else manage your business doesn't work. You have to pay them a huge salary. So you go in, you spend all your money in inventory, spend all your money in starting this new business. You've got to be there. So now you don't have your income coming in from your job. And that's why most companies fail. So your job is not a bad thing. You got to look at your job and say, how can I increase my value with the company that I'm with and increase my money? You guys remember my conversation last week, how to make $1,000 a day, how to make $30,000 a month, how to make $365,000 a year. To do that, most of you have to start with the foundation, which is the job you have. Now, if you have a job that has a dead end and you know you're not going to make any more money than maybe a 50-cent raise here or there, you may be in the wrong job, but you have to secure your income stream until your side hustle or your investments offset that income stream. I'm not telling you guys to quit what you're doing to plug into a side hustle or something else. It's called a side hustle for a reason. Your income on your investments, your income on your side hustle has to offset your income stream. And then you have a choice. Either A, you've doubled your income and keep doing that for a period of time, or B, is you can back away from your current job that you may not love to do more of your side hustle. But don't be stupid about it. Okay, don't be stupid about it. So give your job the respect that it deserves and find a way to increase your wealth and your income stream coming from your current job. So figure that part of it out. I mean, 80 to 90% of your income right now is coming from your current job. So be smart about it. Be smart about it. So start with solidifying and increasing your money you're getting from your current job. So the question is, could you make a third more money if you become more valuable to your company? Some of you guys could. Some of you could you go out and sell, increase your income by twice as much as you're making in a year? If you're in a sales position, yes, you could. Increase your income with what you currently have going on. That's the best advice I can give you is use that then. If you're doing everything else in a smart way I'm going to talk about today, you then will have the cash flow to do a side hustle until it builds up, and you have the cash flow to invest and have that money coming back to you. It's all about increasing it and creating this momentum behind your income stream. Number three. So number one, decide, get your mind right. Number two, give your job the due respect it deserves. Increase your cash flow from that job. Number three, stop the stupid shit. Stop. If you want to create wealth, stop the stupid shit. What do I mean by that? I mean, quit trying. I see so many people trying to impress people that they don't really care about anyway with what they have, right? So you go out and get a brand new car. You go out and I'll talk about that here in a bit. You go out and take people go out. You go out to eat. You do all these other things. You're trying to spend. You spend money. Quit doing the stupid shit. If you don't have the money you need, so let me give you some math on some stuff. This is crazy, and I'm going to show you guys here in a bit. I'm going to talk about getting a 10% return on your money. I'm going to talk about getting a 6% return on money. I'm talking about getting a 15% return on your money. I'm going to cover that here in a bit. But let's just keep some math so you guys understand this stuff of how important it is to get this shit straight. By the way, any of you that do any of the things I talked about earlier, you share this video, for example, you follow me on Instagram. Anyone that does that, and if I have not sent you the book yet, Bree, send anyone that shares this video. Let's do this. Anyone that shares this video that you've not sent the book out, The Compound Effect, send it out to them. All right. The Compound Effect of the last 2 years is probably the most simple, profound book that I've read of simplicity of understanding how things compound. In every area of your life, the small things you do, how it compounds. The decisions you make today compound. It's called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy from Success Magazine. I love that book. I'm going to send a copy to each one of you. Now, those that we've sent the book out to, how many of you guys have not read that book? Read this book this month, The Compound Effect. Let's cover some numbers so you understand this. So let's talk about going out to eat. The average American The average American spends $300 to $500 a month going out to eat. That's not groceries. In fact, the average American goes out to eat every other day. Every other day, roughly. So I think it's 18 times a month. The average person goes out to eat fast food or going out to eat $300 to $500 a month. Now I spend about that much per meal, but $300 to $500. But I didn't do that. I mean, I lived like a hermit. I literally didn't go out to eat probably for 2 years at one point. This is back a couple of decades ago. Well, about a decade and a half ago. A decade and a half ago when I lost everything and had to build back out of that again. Guess what? I didn't go out to eat. 3 to 5. Let's cover this. So let's cover just 40 years of your life from your 20 until you're 60. Right? So 40 years of your life. So if you go out to eat and spend $300 to $500 a month on top of your groceries, 10% return on that money. 10%, which I'll show everybody here how to get 10% return on the money average. That's $750,000 to $1 million over 40 years that you're spending going out to eat. So is it worth it going out to all the fast food things, getting a cup of coffee, going to Starbucks, doing all that shit? Is it worth it? $350 to $500 a month over 40 years at 10% return on your money is $700,000 to $1 million. $1 million. Let's talk about, let's talk about vacations. People, even though they're struggling financially, they go on vacation. The average person per year spends $1,200 on vacation every year. $1,200. Family of 4, that's $4,800 per year, roughly $5,000. Now carry that out over the same 40 years, you've got $2 million. $2 million now, just vacations. Now, I'm not saying don't go on vacation. I'm not saying don't reward yourself. I'm simply saying know where you're spending your money and stop the stupid shit. Even for a period of time, stop doing it. You can't say you want something and you can't afford things. You can't do the things you want to do. You don't have money to invest. You can't pay your bills, putting money on credit cards, and you want to change your life, and you're going on vacation spending $4,800 a year for a family of 4 or $2 million over 40 years at 10% return, or going out to eat every single week, or getting Starbucks for 5 to 6 or 7 for your Smoke a Loca Chate or whatever they call that shit. I mean, think about it. How much money are you spending on all this stupid shit? It all adds up. You don't think because you're going, go in and most people don't even have a fucking budget. Go in and look at what you're spending. Look at the last 90 days. Pull your bank accounts. Look what the money you're spending and take that times 10%. Go in and do it. Actually look at it. Go in with your significant other and go in and do a calculator, an investment calculator at even 6.5% to 10% return on your money. I don't do anything for less than 10%. Return on your money over 40 years and see what that compounded effect is besides you making you a fat ass by drinking Starbucks coffee that's full of 400 grams of whatever, or 400 calories and 25 grams of sugar. Okay? So stop the stupid shit is my advice to you. Number 4, chop off your liabilities. Chop off your liabilities. So anything that you're paying more than 10% on, because again, I'm going to show you guys how to get 6.5 to 10% return on your money, even as high as 15%. So if you're paying more than 10% on something, you got to focus on that first. Don't focus on the investments. Focus on that shit first. Let's talk about, again, vacations. You're paying for a vacation and you're spreading that out because you're paying 15, 20, as some of you guys have talked to me, even 25%, even as high as 30%. Some of you guys are crazy, on you're spending on your credit card interest. If you're paying more than 10%, you've got to do a debt snowball. Do a Google search. Just Google search debt snowball calculator, and you can figure out how to do that. It's very, very simple. You put all your debts in, your liabilities that are, again, interest over 10% for sure. You want to do it, but you put all of your liabilities in there that you're wasting money on, and put those in there, and it'll show you. It'll take the things that you're going to pay off the quickest, which are the things you owe the least amount on, plus the highest interest rates, and you keep how much your monthly payment is. It'll show you, and then if you raise that monthly payment by, even let's say you don't go out to eat for a month, so you raise it by $300 as an example, or you find ways to increase your income by having a side hustle, and you keep dumping that on there, and whatever that dollar amount is, let's say your total bills of your credit cards is $1,000 a month or $500 a month, whatever it is. If you kept that at, let's say, $600 a month, and then you did that over time and you pay something off, you keep it the same dollar amount, $600, and then you pay another credit card off, you keep it $600, so it increases the speed of paying that shit off. Also, I told you guys, you got to call your credit card companies and tell them you have an offer to get 0 interest for a year on another card, and you want to do a balance transfer, but you'd rather keep your money with them. You like Chase, you like whoever it is, and what can they do for you? And I'm telling you, almost all of them will drop your interest rate. Some of them will do it to 0, and some, if they don't, find a way to get ones that do 0. Or number two is find a way to tell them, hey, listen, I'll accept 15% or 14%. Negotiate with them. Okay, chop your liabilities. Number 5, understand that anything this is the huge. Understand that anything you spend that you have that is not making you money is a liability. Understand that everything that you have that you think is an asset, which I will tell you that the couple of things people think of that they own is a car. Nobody hardly ever owns a car. You might have a piece of shit that you have and you've kept over the years and whatever else, but the average person, the average American the average car spends $500 a month. $500 a month is the average per car. Let's just say you have one car, right? One car in your household, $500 a month, okay? So that $500 a month, add that up. $500 a month for 40 years. And by the way, people are saying, when you go to a car dealership, why do they say, I apologize for my car salesman out there, but I'm telling you guys are smart. Because you take people and you bring them in. I have a whole side tangent on car dealers, right? But you go in there and they say, well, do you have something to trade in? Yes, I do. Well, guess what? They tell you the number that you want to hear because they're going to jack up the price on the other end. So don't ever go to a car dealer, first of all, and go to buy a car and tell them you want to trade something off. Say, no, I don't want to trade anything off. Find out what you're going to pay for the car you want to buy. And then, by the way, at the end of all your negotiations, all your numbers, say, okay, what if I traded my car in now? All right, but why do they say, they don't start with how much this is going to cost you. They say how much you want your payments to be. How much can you afford in your payments? That's because they want to adjust it. The average loan isn't 3 years anymore, not even 4 years. The average loan for a car average is 5 years. I see some other people some of you guys have talked to about debt. You've got a freaking 6 or 7 year loan on your car. All right, by the time you pay that loan off, you got to get another car because your car's a piece of shit, right? So think about the cars you're paying for. People are putting a third of their entire net worth into a vehicle that's appreciating in value. That is stupid. Drive a jalopy if you have to. Drive a piece of shit. Those that know me, when I lost everything, even though I had made millions of dollars and I lost everything with some investments that I made in traditional businesses, and you guys heard me tell you some of these things that I even got away from my own understanding, because in my early 20s, I made a lot of money. But if I made $35,000 in a month, I spent $37,000. If I made $80,000 a month, I spent $81,000. I thought it would never end. I didn't understand the investment side of it. I started making a lot of money. I didn't understand the investment side of it, which is why you have to understand this stuff before you start increasing your wealth, or you'll just increase what you're spending money on. Why do they say the curse of the lottery, right? The average person that wins the lottery loses everything plus more. In fact, they're worse off in 5 years. Watch that show, The Curse of the Lottery. I'm going to ask you guys, if you won the lottery, what would you do with it? The average person is more in debt in 5 years than before they won the lottery, because now they have leverageability with their money, which gets them in a lot of trouble because they didn't understand their money. They didn't get their money right. So your car, how much is it worth to have a new car to you if you can't, and you got money on credit cards and everything else? What is that car worth to you? Okay, I'm not saying don't buy a nice car. I'm not saying don't buy nice things. I'm simply saying if you want to create wealth, create the wealth first and then do that stuff. So if you've got only one car, so most of you guys have 2 car payments. Let's say it's one car payment of $500 a month for 40 years. That's $1 million. Actually, let me pull up my math here. Yeah, 40 years. And this, by the way, this is $500 a month for 40 years at only 6.5% interest. I kept it easy. 6.5% interest or return on your money, not interest. 6.5% return on your money for $500 a month is $1 million right there. $1 million right there. So what's that car worth to you to drive a new car all the time? Is it worth it? You answered that question. Now this is where I'm going to piss some people off. The banks have been scamming you for years. Buying a house is not an asset. I'm going to say that again. Your house, no matter what the fucking banks have given you the illusion of, the American dream, you never own your house, first of all. You never own your car in most cases. You might think, well, I don't want to rent a house because, God, I want to do all this stuff, and this is long-term a great investment. Let me do the math with you guys, okay? Let me do the math. Now, by the way, let me give you an example. I'm going to piss my banker people off, I'm sure, but banks are the coolest scam I've ever seen in my life. Understand this. They got together and said back about almost 40 years ago, how do we get people to have, number one, something that we can sell if they don't make payments on. We can get them the illusion they own something and give them this idea of an American dream. And we're going to go ahead and shove the highest amount of interest, because we understand the average person stays in that house for 5 years on average, and dump it on the front end. So I get in a whole rant about this shit. It just frustrates me to no end. Let me give you some averages, okay? Then I'm going to go through what I wanted to share with you. I'm going to digress here a bit. Let me give you some averages. So the average house in the U.S., the average house is $290,000 is the average house. $290,000. That's the median house in the U.S. Okay, $290,000. If you guys have, $150,000, if you guys have $1 million house. $290 is the average as of 2019. $290. I hope you guys are writing this stuff down so you actually hit you between the eyes a little bit. The only way you're going to change is to get hit between the eyes a few times. The only way that I change is I'm going to just shove it right at me and say, okay, you're being a stupid shit here. All right? So $290,000. By the way, what is the average house? What do they say the average house increases in value per year? Anybody know what the average is per year? 4%. That's if you owned your house. You don't own your house. 4% is what they estimate all over the U.S., depending where you live, but 4% is the average increase in value of your house per year. Inflation is 2%. So I'm going to ask you a logical question. Is 2% return on your money very good? Now, by the way, most of you are paying around 2% interest on your house. Now you've got nothing. All right, $290,000. The average person puts a 15% down payment down. 15% is the average countrywide in the U.S. as of last year. So 15% was the average. Now, if you want to get rid of PMI, for example, it's going to be 20%. But let's say it's 15%. That's $43,500. So if you didn't put a down payment down, so whatever down payment you put on that house, that 15%, you put that $43,500 on average. You put that $43,500. And you put that in an investment, getting a 10% return on your money over 30 years, same time frame you pay for that house, 30 years, you've got $761,000 just from that down payment, $761,000. You're also, by the way, not paying, obviously you're going to still pay renter's insurance, but you're not paying, the $1,000 or more, depending on the house that you have, of your insurance on your house. You're not going to pay the taxes on that house. You're not going to pay for repairs on that house. The average person also spends, if you average it all out, around $210 a month average in their home on upkeep. You might think, well, yeah, if I rent, I'm paying more money. You're not, guys. Do the math on it. Do the math on your homeowner's insurance. Do the math on if you're paying PMI. Do the math on there. Do your math on the interest. So let me do the math for you guys. $290,000. If you put $43,500 down. Over 30 years, you would have paid $626,000 for that $290,000 house. Again, I'll say that again. $290,000 house with a $43,500 down payment over 30 years, you would have paid $626,000. I'll say again, if you have anything you own that is not making you money is a liability. I own my investments. I would own rental property. I would own things that make me assets that make me money. My house, I know I'm putting. So for me, for example, I have another business and I run that business in many cases out of my home. So guess what? I'm writing a lot of things off that most people can't write off on that home. And I have a decent house. I mean, the house that I'm in right now is, almost $700,000. I'm renting that house. I would never buy that house. I could never be upside down. And I can take the down payment I would put. So do the math on that. Take a $700,000 house and take that down payment. Take that down payment and invest that over 30 years. And what would you get to the number of? Plus, I'm flexible. So don't have the illusion your house is an asset, because it is not. Okay? I'm going to go into knowing your numbers. So that's the number 6 thing. You got to know your numbers. So what are the numbers? So I'm going to cover this really fast. The numbers are 40, 40, 20. Everyone that I've studied, I've seen people that go as high as 50%. You've got to have the ratio and be able to live off of this ratio if you want to become wealthy. 40% of the money you make, you pay yourself first. You stack that cash, and then you invest it in assets making you money. 40% taxes, and 20% you can live off of. Doesn't give you a heck of a lot, guys. You got to find a way to back your lifestyle down if you have to. Quit going out to eat, getting the smoke a local chate and at Starbucks. You got to find ways to cut things back. Because if you're making $5,000 a month, you got to make more money, right? $5,000 a month. That's $2,000, guys. Storage, $2,000 the IRS. That's only $1,000 to live off of a month. Most of you can't live off $1,000 a month. So you got to raise your income level, guys. Raise your income level. If you're making $10,000 a month in your family, that's $4,000 for storage or stacking cash to invest, $4,000 to the IRS, and $2,000 to live off of. You got to make $20,000 a month for $8,000 storage, $8,000 IRS, and $4,000 months to live off of. Do the math. Go into and find out what your investment calculator looks like to see what number you've got to be at. But for me, I had to start with what can I live off of? What is the minimum amount that I can live off of and survive off of? That's the first number I've got to hit. Again, I can't steal. Don't steal. Pay yourself first. Don't steal from the money you're putting in investments. You can't steal from the IRS without going to prison, so don't steal from the IRS either. But you got to live off of 20% if you want to become wealthy. So I will tell you the number that I had to shoot for. My first number, when I started understanding money and understanding investments, the number that I had to hit, I had to find a way as fast as I possibly could. Now, I'm going to back away here, guys. You will make between $1 to $5 million anyway over your lifetime. I'll say that again. You will make, depending on who you are in your household, you will make $1 to $5 million anyway over your lifetime. I mean, I showed you how just taking your car, for example, and not having a $500 a month car payment, if you could do that and carry that over a 10% interest over 30 years, over 40 years, you have $1 million there. So you're going to make the money. What I want to find a way is to compress time. I had to find a way to compress time because my living expenses, I could keep at a certain number. Once I got that living expense at a certain number, if I compress time, I have that money to dump into my investments faster, to compound faster, to grow faster. I had to find a way to compress time. People think you're obsessed. Well, Kori, $10 million is a lot of money. I'll send you guys the article. I'll post it here. CNBC, so they had a thing on CNBC talking about what it truly takes for an American household to live comfortably through the retirement. The number that they said they considered financially independent didn't count on retirement, Social Security didn't require assistance from the government, and that number they had is $5 million. $5 million, CNBC. I think the number's around 10 million because I really want to enjoy myself, not just survive. I want to thrive. I want to do the things I want to do. I want to find a way to make mistakes and not kill. Right? I want to find a way to actually do what I want to do. So let's cover the math on this. You got to know your numbers, guys. You got to know your numbers. And most of you guys are thinking of $10 million saying, holy shit, most I've made is $40,000 a year. You're not seeing the compounding effect of money. You're not understanding the compound effect, right? The book, Darren Hardy, you're not getting this. Of the decisions you make, the money you spend and how you spend it, and compounding that in investments and what that's going to do for you. So don't focus on the how am I going to do it first. Start with what am I going to accomplish? If that number is 10 million, 5 million, 2 million, whatever the number is for you. What is that number? What am I going to do? And then why am I going to do it? Why is it worth it to do it? And what's my life going to be like if I don't do it? That's the only way you're going to get yourself to take action. The pain of not doing it has to be more than the pain of doing it. Okay? The pain of not doing it has to be more than the pain of doing it. You've got to get yourself motivated to take action. You're not going to take action if you don't get obsessed and crazy about it. So $10 million equates to $365,000 a year, comes down to $30,000 a month you got to make. $30,000 a month, which comes down to $1,000 a day, which again, if you guys don't believe this shit, go back to what I did last week. $1,000 a day to break it down. $40 an hour. So that doesn't sound that big of a deal, right? You got to find a way to make $40 an hour, 24 hours a day. Well, how do you do that? You do something on the side that pays you money while you sleep. Now, if you can't do that, you got to increase the amount of money you're making per hour by selling, by doing something with your company, becoming more valuable. And so if it was 12 hours a day, right? Most people can function on 12 hours a day if they push themselves a bit. You got to find a way to make $80 an hour. So if you're making $20 an hour at your job or $15 an hour at your job, you've got to increase what you're making on the side to the point where you can do it. And again, I'm going to go back to what people always tell me, well, I'm already putting in 40 hours a week. I'm already putting in, 8 hours a day. Well, what the fuck do you do with the other 8 hours a day? I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's worth it. I'll never sell you on the fact that it's easy. Most of you don't have a trust fund. I didn't have a trust fund. I didn't have money laying around. I had to get obsessed and crazy. And there are times I put in 15, 16, 17 hours a day. There are times I did that because I had to. Now, how do you can come back to me and say, oh my God, my kids, they're not going to, you know what? You're spending 3.5 hours a day on television, the average American. You're spending 2 hours a day on social media. You're spending time doing frivolous shit. You're spending time on the golf course. You're spending time watching football games. You're spending on Sports Center. You're doing all this other stuff. I'm not saying it isn't something you should be doing. I'm simply saying you can't say you want something and you're not willing to pay the price for it. But I would get with my family and say, which I had 2 kids at the time when I lost everything again, guys. I lost everything. In fact, I was negative by a good deal of money, almost 7 figures in the negative. And I had to sit down with my family at the time and say, listen, it's going to get really rough here for a while. But if I do this, here are the numbers, here it's going to play out, and here's what I'm going to create. And they allowed me to do that because I structured and scheduled time with them. Quality time, a half hour with each one of my kids every single day. But they understood that if Daddy did that for a period of time, we're going to be able to live and do the things that we want to do. I put some rewards in there. Hey, if we do this, I budgeted in going to Disney. I budgeted in doing this or that. There's things that I did to budget into that. It's kind of funny. I told you guys a story is, this actually, I remember, Jasmine, my youngest, who's now 9, but this is a few years ago. And, so we put together this, we do this every year, put together what we want to do for that year. Last year we went on a Disney cruise and we've done Universal stuff and we've done other fun things. And I think at that time it was a Disney trip. And Jaslyn knows that I don't waste time very often, right? There's times that I just want to vegetate and I do things, but most of the time I have goals and I want to, even though so we were in the car, I think driving to Caden's soccer tournament. And I was sitting there and I was just kind of vegetating for a while because I'd done a full day of work, and I'm sitting there vegetating and Jazz is like, Dad, shouldn't you be making phone calls or sending emails out or something? Because she was motivating me because she knew the end result is, hey, number one, I'm going to get more time with Dad later if we accomplish our goals. But number 2 is we're going to go to Disney. You got to find ways to get your family behind you. But you got to you got to figure out a way to do this. Again, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's worth it. And you can't tell me you want something you're not willing to pay and you're not pay the price for it. Right? If you come on these every single week to get all these ideas, you're looking for the secret sauce that allows you to be a lazy ass and still have it. It's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. Your chance of getting struck by lightning 3 times is greater than you winning the lottery. All right? So you got to do something. If you want to do something, you got to get obsessed. You got to be obsessed about it. It's funny that when you're obsessed, people think you're crazy. You start succeeding in a massive way, they think you're lucky. It's amazing how people change their mindset about you. Massive success, right? It's funny how they look at you and say, oh my God, you were lucky. You did this. No, I fucking did it. I chose what I wanted and I made it happen. And I would do whatever it took to make that happen. So the numbers again, 365,000 a year. What this would come down to is this. So again, you would be, every single year, if I'm making $40 an hour, for 24 hours a day, $80 an hour, 12 hours a day, $30,000 a month, $1,000 a day, $36,500 a year. I did the math on this. Okay. So that would be basically, if you're paying yourself first in investments, $146,000 a year I'm investing in assets that are going to make me money. $146,000 a year. I'm paying that much in taxes. I'm living off of, from that, every single month. I'm living off of $8,000 a month, which I can live on $8,000 a month. It also, basically, that's $12,000 a month I'm investing. $12,000 a month I'm investing. That's how you build momentum with your money. All right, so let me cover something. I'm going to give you a disclaimer. I get myself in trouble all the time. So the disclaimer is, no matter what you invest money in, you can lose money. I mean, you put your money in the bank, as an example. By the way, you put your money in the bank. Do you know what this actually is from? Chase Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. If you put your money in just a checking account that has interest, checking account with interest, right? Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, as of day before yesterday, your return is 1/100th of 1% with a $10,000 minimum balance to avoid paying your bank fees every month. Guys, you're losing money. So I want you guys to finish this phrase. Type in the chat window what everybody says that you learn. Cash is what? What's the saying? Cash is what? I want to look in the chat window. If you guys can go ahead and type in there, I want to see what your comments are. That's right. The saying is cash is king. I'm trying to tell you that cash is shit. Cash is shit. If I've got cash in my pocket, that is going backwards an average of 2% per year. 2% a year inflation, that cash is going backwards, guys. Going backwards. You've got to have your money making you money. You can put it in a savings account. Put it in a savings account, not touch it. Savings account right now is around 2%. 2% return for $25,000 invested, 2%, you're breaking even. You're not making money. That's not what you want to do. You're breaking even. And if you're investing in assets like a house, you're either breaking even, right? Or you're actually losing money because you don't own the house. Even if you owned your house, again, at 4% return, 4% average increase in value per year, that's average. Now, a recession hits, what happens? You want to get out of your house at a certain point, what happens? But that's 4%. 2% is what your inflation is. That's 2% return. That's not a good investment. So let me share with you some of the things as far as where I invest my money. Again, you can choose what you want to invest your money in. But the average return that I look for is 10 to 15%, but I look for things that are sure things. I know some of you guys ask me to talk about investing in some, I will say every single week I get at least 3 or 4 potential. Do you want to invest with me? I got this idea. I got a business plan. I don't invest in any of that shit. Now, there are times that I would get if I have money left over after I pay, right? Invest in the secure 40% into the assets that are going to make me money. After that, if I have something left and I don't have the living expenses that I thought I was going to have, I may invest in something that I just look at as kind of an educated gamble. But I don't do it. And also, by the way, this is something else I'm going to tell you is this. Don't make the mistake. So when I say pay yourself first, that 40%, that is not something you ever can tap into. If you have a loved one, someone comes to you and say, hey, I need money, go make more money. Don't grab money out of there. That money is not for you to touch. That is on the livelihood of your kids and your grandkids and your future. Right? Don't do it. That money is sacred. Don't touch it. But cash is not king. Cash is shit. Cash is not going to make you money. I love it. Cash is trash. Thanks, Rod. So what are the things that so let me talk about this. So if you get a 10% return on your money, 10% return for 22 years, if you're investing $12,000 a month, so you're making $365,000 a year. This is what the numbers I went with. You put your own numbers together. But I looked at said if I make $365,000 a year, about $30,000 a month, if I can put in 40% of that into my investments, and I could do that, get a 10% return for 22 years, I've got $10 million. I've got $10 million. If I get a 15% return on my money, which most of my investments now are around 12 to 15%, that's a 17 and a half years to have $10 million from those investments. Okay? I can survive off of that. By the way, do you know how long $1 million lasts? You may think, oh, my goal is $1 million. No, it's not. Because if you're burning through your normal livelihood, because most of you can't survive on less than $4,000 a month. $4,000 a month lasts you like 25 years. And that million's burned. Okay? So you've got to have the money. You got to figure out what your numbers are. Most people don't even have a clue what their target is. So they wonder why they're not going to hit it. So let's talk about, for example, something simple. So if you want to put your money in the markets, one of my favorites is America's Best 401k. If you want to understand where your money's at, most of they might say, I'm investing my 401k. They're not making shit. Look at your 401k and look what you're paying in fees. That 0.5%, 1% you're not seeing. Go to America's Best 401k and see what you're actually making in fees. I love America's Best 401k is my best advice to give you. But the Vanguard fund, 500 index funds, so the top 100 companies in the U.S. I love putting my money there, and they fall off and go back on based upon the S&P 500. The average return for the last 10 years has been 13.79%. 13.79%. And if you look at the last 90 years, it's been 9.8%. Now, also I see people that say, well, I'm a day trader. Trust me, guys, don't do that shit. Or you're doing things where you can leverage yourself and you can do things like in the Forex, right? I'm not saying you can't make money. I'm saying that's another side job you've got to do. And the challenge is the leverageability. I see people getting in trouble all the time. Don't start with that. Put all your money in a place that you don't have to touch, you don't have to think about. Let's look at the most successful people that invest. Are they day traders? Are they Forex traders? The most successful people, let's look at the number one, Warren Buffett. What does he do? He's invested 50% is what he invested when he was like 18 years old. Look at the graphic online. You can do a Google search and look at pictures. Right? Look at pictures and look at his graphic of his income increase because of the returns on his money. And he studies companies very, very much. I mean, a ton of. He studies companies. He invests for the long haul. And the other thing is don't touch your money because you realize that your return is basically 10% over the last 90 years. If you actually thought you could be smarter than the market and pull your money out when recessions hit or whatever happened, if you were out of the market just 6 days, 6 critical days in the market, your return would be half of that, around 5%. So don't think you're going to be smarter than the market. And by the way, you wouldn't have a lot of money to invest. You guys have heard me say this before. When the recession hits, when the next recession hits, which is always going to happen, we've got cycles, be prepared for it. Have cash flow. You can dump into it. Everybody gets scared. They pull their money out. You don't want to pull your money out. You double down at that point. You buy, who would not make money buying everything at half off? When you can buy real estate, not quite half, but you can buy real estate, you can buy stocks, you can buy things at half off. That's when you put your money in the index. You double down. Don't pull your money out. You're not smarter than the market. Invest in the long haul. Invest in the long term. But again, I'm not talking crazy investments. I'm talking about the Vanguard fund over the last 10 years has been 13.79%. The S&P 500 the last 90 years has been 9.8%, 10%. Or invest, which I love. One of my best investments has been in buying fractional shares of apartment complexes with initially with another group, so I don't have to manage it, I don't have to deal with it. And I can tell you one of the ones that I like a lot, which you're looking at about 10 to 50% average return now. You can do your due diligence on it, but it's been Cardone Capital, Grant Cardone, Cardone Capital. One of the advantages that he has is he's not paying people to bring in the money. Most of the time, you're losing 10% of your money by putting money because they're paying in people that are finding the investors. He's done it all through social media, so you're not paying that. You're paying like a 3%, I believe it is, 3% management fee. So look at the math on it. But he's raised over $800 million, almost $1 billion now for that, and you're owning fractional shares, so you don't own just one. You don't have to deal with that, but you leverage yourself over multiple portfolio by leveraging yourself into that. There's other ones, people you can plug into. That's one that I'm good friends with Grant, and that's a good investment, I believe, with my money. You can also fractional shares and life settlement policies. So what you do is whatever money you have on a monthly basis that you can invest, right, that 40-40-20 ratio, is the 40% you stack it until you have enough money to put in. So, for example, if you want to put in the S&P 500 and put it in Vanguard's fund, you have to have a minimum investment. You put it in Cardone Capital, you have to be at least $10,000 investment. So stack that cash and then invest that cash. Don't touch it. Okay, so went through a lot of stuff with you guys, and again, this is not something you just figure out. You got to get your mindset right. Put a plan into action and realize the small things, positive or negative, compound. Get control and understand that everything you have that's not making you money is a liability. Look at your house in a different way. Again, you can try to prove me wrong all day long. I can show you the math on it. Why do you think? By the way, banks love us. Banks love us. Do you know why? Do you realize every dollar that the bank has of your money, sitting in savings, sitting in the account, you're paying money to the bank. Every dollar, they have a $5 leverageability, roughly $5 leverageability. So they can lend out. They're giving you on a checking account 0.01%. They're giving you on a savings account, they're giving you, 2% right now. And they're able to get 500% what they can lend, and then they're getting 5, 10, 15%. If it's a credit card, they're getting up to 25, 30% in some cases, return on that money. Why are they able to build? I just heard in Norfolk Breed, they're building 2 more banks. Another Elkhorn Bank, other. They do that for a sense of security. Your money's not secure, guys, there. It's not backed by anything. Invest in assets that can make you money, but you've got to start somewhere. I always say, I don't care where you start, I care where you finish. And you look at this debt snowball, you look at your current debt, you look at your situation, it looks insurmountable, so you don't take action. You've got to break this down to daily things you've got to do. You've got to create goals for yourself and your household. Create rewarding things to motivate yourself. Realize that why do you give a shit? Let me ask you a question. If you knew you could live almost like a hermit for the next 5 years, and people might make fun of you because you don't have the brand new car. They don't have it anyway. They don't buy that fucking truck. They don't buy the car they have, right? They don't even own it in most cases. How many people do you know that have brand new cars that they own? It's a very small percentage. They don't own that house, which is why they're living in that house 15% of the time, and most of that time they're sleeping because they're out working trying to pay for that house. To have this image, the trips, the clothing, all the things that they do. What can you cut back in your budget? Now, you may say, well, Kori's talking about creating wealth. He's saying cut my budget back. I'm saying initially cut your budget back. Now, I'm not saying don't enjoy your life, do the things you want to do, but first pay for it. The money that I spend are my investments and return on my investments. The $5 million, that is almost $6 million that I put in the first 5 years into my business, I'm getting rewards from that now, and I'm enjoying that and spending money. I mean, how can I put on an event and spend $600,000 in 5 days? You know, how can we do the things that we do? It's because of the money that we are getting now as a return for those investments. So you have an option now. You've got to initially, live like, most aren't willing to live. So you can live tomorrow like they can only dream about. And I promise you it'll be the same thing. They're going to think you got lucky. They're going to think that you had the world handed to you. Some of you guys that have a good job, you know this. You see, if you're in a big company and has people that have been there for 30 years and they're making almost the same money you're making, a little bit more money than you're making, but they have this amazing lifestyle, right, in 20, 30 years, and you have other people that you see that make the same amount of money alongside of them, and they still are broke. They still don't own anything. Why? Because of these principles that compound over time. And the decisions you make are like in a pond, the drip in the pond and the ripple effect. That's how everything you do is. And you've got to get your money working for you. Okay? Questions, comments? Look through my window here. Okay. So I went through almost a full hour. And it's interesting to see how many people are still plugged into this that are committed to change their life. We had people that dropped off of here because I pissed them off because I told them what they were doing wasn't right. I'm saying this. Whatever you do that you want to do is your choice. And I'm saying that I will not stop you any way, shape, or form. I'm simply saying this, is that the analogy I use in my own business is if you want to stand on the sidelines and see people succeed and make things happen around you, you can stand and watch the train go by. Because people that are successful, success leaves clues. They do certain things that I'm teaching you right now, and this train's going to blow by you. And it's going to happen. You can wave at everybody going by. You can wave at us and say, man, I wish I could be on that train. Or you can make a decision, at least get on the train. You can get on the train, do a few of these things, and study these a little bit, and you can be at least in the caboose, at least be on the train, and make some decent money, and have a little bit of retirement. Or if you want to be in the passenger car, you've got to get this shit down. You got to figure this stuff out. Figure your own situation out. Again, I could take anyone. I don't care who you are. You can be somebody that's sitting at a truck stop as a server there and show you a path. I can give you story upon story of people that have done that and created massive things in their lives by simply deciding to do things differently and deciding to step things up. Okay? If you want to be in the actual driver's seat of that train, you want to have your hand on that throttle and doing the things others only dream about, and have the lifestyle most people only dream about, and having the house of your dreams and having the lifestyle of your dreams, and have your kids have choices, and doing the things that you want to be able to do, and have the charities you want to contribute to, and doing the things you want to do, not because you ever have to, because you choose to. If you want freedom, you've got to make the decision, and you've got to do some radical things. You've got to get crazy. You've got to get obsessed if you want to have your hands on that throttle and be at the point of making $500,000, million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, $10 million. It's about how fast you can do it. Compress time. Be obsessed for the next 5 years. I'm going to give you this last analogy, which is I make stupid analogy, but it's something that made sense to me. I had a person years ago share this with me. He said, Kori, if you had a choice of you knew you were going to lose your thumb, and you had a hacksaw, would you rather take a hacksaw and slowly chop that finger off, which is most people's career? They hate what they're doing. They do it for 40 or 50 or 60 years. They can't even retire. They don't enjoy themselves, and they slowly pay the price. Or would you rather have a hatchet and chop that fucker off and get it over with? I would rather be obsessed, be crazy, do whatever I have to do for 5 years and enjoy the rest of my life doing what I want to do. So decide what you want to do. If you want to take a hacksaw and slowly slice your finger off, or get it over with. And every single one of you has a price to pay, depending on your lifestyle. If you've got kids, you're paying $250,000 to $500,000 a year today for each of those kids by the time they're born through college. How many kids do you have? Think about it. You're going to pay a price. And depending on your lifestyle and what you want, you have a higher or lower price. But answer this question. If your income stopped tomorrow, where would you be in a month, in 2 months, in a year? You've got to do something different. Don't listen to the world around you because they've got you entrenched. I feel like the Matrix, right? I feel like we're sitting here in this world that we think we've got all the lifestyle of the American dream of you're always fucking making payments. You don't own anything. You don't have anything. The median American has $16,000 of net worth at 65 years old. Guys, that's crazy. That's the median. That's crazy to me. Look at the last 5 years, as I started with, and look what you wanted to have in your life and the things that you wanted to do, and look where you are today. If you're not where you want to be, guess what? For things to change, as Jim Rohn said, you must change. For things to be different, you must be different. Be the exception. Make it happen. Love you guys. By the way, next week is going to be Ask Kori. We're going to field your questions. Those that actually call in and ask me questions, we're going to go ahead and give you some really cool rewards for that. So next week, if you want to dig down into your personal situation, what's happening for you, don't miss next Monday's live broadcast. Again, share this video on all the platforms. Go on, share this not just this video, but share my Facebook page, Instagram page. Share this stuff with people that are around you, because I'm telling you, it's not just me with you guys. We can impact the planet.